Hello everyone and welcome to today's live stream. I am your easy tier host, Mods Husky, and I'm joined by the ever wonderful Mod Bruno, Mod Elena and Mod Husky. How is everybody doing? Bruno, you want to start?
Great. I'll start. Yeah, doing
tier?
good. Pretty pleased with how the combat tubes went out yesterday morning. So yeah, amazing.
Awesome. And yeah, I had to chuck the pun in there. There's some combat achievement related, funny in there. Why not? Mod Elena, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I'm so warm. It's really hot here right now, so I am chugging water, but doing good. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. I'm also hot. Husky, just before the stream, was taunting me with his AC unit behind him, as I've opted not to choose the fan so it doesn't be picked up on the mic. So speaking of Husky, how are you, good sir?
Yeah, good. Stressed a little bit. I think that's just not a release, though. It's like a whole mixed bag of feelings of excited to release it, but what bugs are there going to be? And are the players going to like it? Or yeah. And then of course in the after, get as many fixes for the first week, right? And determine what fixes there should be and all this sort of stuff. So yeah, stressed, but not unhealthy stress, just typical release stress.
Good. As long as it's typical release stress and not unhealthy stress, that's what we like to hear. So what has everyone been up to this week? I'm again probably the same thing since we're all here to talk about one big issue. Bruno, you want to go first?
Oh, yeah. I'm not sure if you're having lag because Husky's having a little bit of an internet issue. So I'm like, am I lagging? Is someone else lagging? But this week, just been making sure that Combat Achievements is ready for the update, which it was, and then just dealing with anything to do with Combat Achievements. So yeah, very busy.
I imagine Elena's gonna sort of second that.
Yeah, lots of combat achievements. Also been looking a little bit at Deadman actually, so that's going ahead as well. Very exciting.
Interesting. Nice little tease there. I like it. And Husky?
What was the question? Sorry, I'm closing all my processes.
What have you been up to this week? But I'm guessing it's just combat achievements.
Kind of. It was the week before the release, you don't really work on the release. It's because it's supposed to be in a stable place to not release. So there's a couple of little things we had to fix. But yes, looking out for the release of that and super secret projects, like Elena.
Super secret indeed. Well, we will touch on those. Don't worry, you've not spoiled anything, Elena. We've mentioned Deadman before, so people know it's coming. So
okay, I'm working on Deadman.
Coming, hey. Yeah, when it's coming, who knows? But we will touch on that shortly. But first, let us get to the announcements. So first off, combat achievements are here. This new achievement system will measure just how tough you really are. Plus, we've got gauntlet changes and more. So use !game update to find out more. And just as a little side note, would you all for your patience while we've addressed any issues related to the content. I know people have seen the massive changelog there, but I think it's looking good at the moment. It's looking good. It's a big update, so there was expected to be some bumps. So our next mini poll is now live. Have your say on the Amethyst mining spots, Ash Sanctifier and Sour Hogs by visiting your nearest in-game poll booth or vote through the accounts settings menu. And if you want to see what that entails, use !mini poll to find out more. And the one I've been dying to talk about for the last couple streams, we will be live on Saturday, July 31st with Old School's Summer Summit. So you have a date now, mark it in your calendars. It's not too long, just over a week there. The whole lock thing down has led us to thinking how we will talk about the cool stuff we're doing. Previously, we'd go nuts at RuneFest and give you a year's worth of content. This was always super exciting, but if we're honest, we'd miss a lot of those deadlines. So we are changing our approach, beginning with the Summer Summit. We're going to give you a look at the big stuff coming over the next 6 months. And if it goes well, we'll do the same thing in about another 6 months' time, but it won't be the Summer Summit. unless we do it in Australia, of course. So anyway, join us on Saturday, July 31st on Twitch at 8 PM BST. So use your time converters, what you need, mark it in the calendar, and be there, or be square, you know. As always, if you have any questions or anything else you'd like to ask the team, please at oldschoolRS with your questions. The wonderful Mod Light is on the chat, and the also wonderful Mod Druid is behind the scenes. So, with that exciting announcement out the way, I want to touch on something else. We have, with Combat Achievements launching yesterday, we wanted to take some time to openly talk about the bugs present at release and your comments surrounding them. So we've seen a couple of things like, why are there so many bugs? Where's QA? Or one of the more popular ones, back in X year, it was never as bug riddled. You know, these are all perfectly legitimate questions to ask. And as players, you expect to be able to enjoy new content without any issues, which is completely fair. But let's take a look at how we handled fixes a few years ago. You know, we'd release content, we'd find bugs, fix them. Maybe some individuals would tweet about it, but there was usually nothing really concretely spoken about until an official list was featured in the next week's news post, where it was just bunched up as a group of fixes, despite the fact they were already live in game. Now, we have a changelog at the top of the news post. For anyone who doesn't read the news post now, we detail all the problems and issues we've outlined and our progress on them, and we always keep it at the top of every game update news post, and it's constantly updated with new things until we feel like it's in a good enough place to move on. So we've also become better aligned in sharing information across our platforms and channels, whether it's a tweet detailing an issue the team is looking into, whether a certain Jmod is replying themselves, and even talking about on live streams like this. So players have mentioned in the past how we should be more transparent with issues and what we fix, and we've listened. You know, there's a lot more transparency and intermediate communication surrounding bugs and fixes, which we hope will only continue to improve. With yesterday's update, we, you know, openly admit there's some of the bugs that should have been caught before release. But the one thing to note, and I must stress this, is that the QA team is always hard at work in trying to find out problems with our content. You know, I had a number, I have a number that one of the mods gave to me. Roughly 8.5 times more bugs were caught than were let through. So that's a massive amount that QA had caught, and you know, we sorted to resolve before the content was even live. So it's a massive number. You know, and it is a massive project. You look at combat achievements. It's you know, it interacts with so many different pieces of content in so many different ways. You know, look at ERB, that had to come out before combat achievements was even able to go through. So you know, there's so many little intricate pieces at play here. Again, I do want to stress some of the bugs should have been caught. The project of the scale doesn't excuse it, but we would just like to invite you to consider the work that our QA team does, and any bugs found should not undermine the fact the team is a bunch of fantastic, passionate and hardworking people, and you know, it's a personal privilege to work with them every day. So thank you guys, all of you. And you know, finally, our QA team has grown, like the whole team has grown after the, you know, in the last few years, and it's more structured than it ever was. But even if we quadrupled the size of the team today, truth is that thousands of players logging into the game with a variety of counts and situations and play styles will always uncover some bespoke issues that wouldn't emerge in internal testing. So I hope that offers some answers to your questions. We do want to say a big thank you to everybody that's been playing and enjoying the content, and please, 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 if you are seeing more bugs, report them, because we do want to handle them as quickly as possible. So I don't know if anyone else wants to add on to that ramble from mine, but
No,
Yeah,
I think the transparency is the key there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it went through it perfectly. Like, we are a lot more transparent these days than we used to be. For example, like yesterday, all four of us were in the update call where we monitor the update, and if there's anything that comes up, we go through it. and that was actually really not that much of a stressful day. We were done by like 5 p.m. I think we finished the call. Compared to other updates, like some updates you can easily go on till like 8 p.m. and there's a lot more things to fix of a grander scale. So yeah, like I think yesterday's update wasn't actually that bad. For sure, we could have caught some of the bugs. To touch on the barrows, I don't think that's really a bug. It's more of a design flaw because you can definitely still complete the task. It's just we didn't think maybe if they spawn as soon as maybe if they hit you as soon as they spawn, it makes it hard to complete, which is unfortunate. But yeah, we've managed to fix that pretty quickly. So.
It is that thing where it's like, it sounds harmless, right? You know, you come up with the barrows task, you're like, oh, just don't let the barrows with us melee, and you're like, oh my god, they're going to run around the coffin and they're going to freeze them. But like, did I individually, as like one of the, it was me and Arcane that mostly did the initial design, go through and make sure every single task would be technically possible? No, like there's a lot of like delegating out, and once that's done and coded, it was quite straightforward to code the hit, right? And then send it to QA, and they're like, yep, I got hit, I failed the task. And people are absolutely right. There is that one step further of like, considering it from the player's perspective, is it actually possible to do it without cheats and stuff like that, which is something that is done for a lot of tasks, but like, it's very easy to pick a scapegoat of a task that like Wooks was like, it's a 0.0003% chance or something, and people love to gravitate behind that as like, cool, there was one task, and I think there's the other one, the giant one, the Obor one, that like, oh, there were an oversight on 2 out of 400 tasks being completed from the player's perspective. This is a piece of content that like hits so much of core game systems, and I really just want to emphasize, like, it is all about the transparency. We have a fantastic CM team who are bothering us, and well, we're hotfixing, like, cool, give me the details, what was the problem, let me know so I can tell the players exactly what's happening and when it's fixed. And that's the important thing, right? Because it lets you guys go, wait, am I doing it wrong? Oh no, never mind, they've identified it's a bug, I can go do something else until that's been fixed. So I think that's the important thing there, right?
I don't really have anything to add to that, but just amazing work all around, you know. Like Bruno mentioned, we were a lot of people in that update call. Devs on hand, grabbing the issues as they came up. QA there on standby, ready to test them so they can be shipped out as soon as possible. And CM just detailing it and keeping you guys in the loop. So it's really like amazing. Although, obviously, wish we didn't have to hotfix at all, but the way we handled it went really smoothly, I would say.
Yeah, and as I've said, like, just, you know, I've been here nearly a year now, and the process has improved dramatically just even in that time. So within the next year, I'm sure it'll just get better and better. So, you know, it's good. It's good. So in terms of more combat achievement stuff, Husky, I don't know if you want to touch on this a little bit more after I do. But before we get into the questions, just to give you some insight, we've got a couple of tasks that will be changing over the next couple of weeks. So we've got Squashing the Giant. It will be tweaked, says range attack will not cause failure of the task if you protect against it. Prepared for battle, the Shazian armour oversight, so that will be looked into, and the use of the arc light in the easy tier. So those are things we know, we've seen your feedback, and we've taken it on board. So for anyone who hasn't read the news post, please go to the top, because we've also added a temporary small delay between when the Barrows brothers spawn and do their first attack. So please let us know if that's something, or what you think of it. Husky, is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, just if people want to know what we're doing, prepared for battles changing entirely. It's not going to require Shazian armor. We're going for like a Lizardman Shaman kill without taking damage, specifically in the mulch, because it's like a confined area and that might be slightly harder. It's also nicer because it's single combat. And then for the use, anything that says is being replaced with Demon Bane weapon. So yeah, it's going to be an absolute pain to do it with Silverlight, but at least it's not an arbitrary restriction. I generally don't like combat achievements that have like use a specific item. Like, even though you might go, oh well, you need to use a scythe for the Fear of Blood achievements, it's not locked to just a scythe, because we might have something in later on, or there might be someone who's just really good does it with like a Saildor, right? I don't mind saying don't use an item, like don't use a T-bow as one of the tasks in the Inferno. That's perfectly fine. It's just the whole like using a specific item, and obviously there's like a few challenges and stuff that are fun, like the Alchemical Hydra, Darok's Axe, and Verax Flail, but like, you know, you don't generally like to limit them unless that's the whole point of the challenge, right? So, and no, it won't include Demon Bane spells to who asked in chat, just for the speed of getting the fix out, and not bloating up the work while we work on other fixes.
Yeah, so sticking on the train of combat achievements, we've mixed this stream up a little bit, so all the player created content will be showcased at the end, because Mod Husky unfortunately has to leave us shortly. So we're going to get straight on to the combat achievements questions that we got lined up. So without further ado, the first question is from Runner 5678. What are the team's thoughts on changing the combat achievements from an achievement diary design to a league points design? Specifically, the completion of a task give points, and the rewards are given based on a meeting a point threshold instead of completion of every task in a tier.
Yeah, it's something we discussed a lot. It's actually something Kieran mentioned to me just not long before launch. He was like, "Oh, it is a lot to do with like not much beforehand." I was like, "Oh, that's actually a good point, but like we can't change it a week before launch." So I think there's pros and cons to it. So if it was only on points, you might get to extend, oh, someone can get all the Grandmaster rewards, but never have stepped foot in the Inferno because they purposely avoid it. And that just feels wrong, because like Grandmaster, for example, is supposed to symbolize that. But I think that the biggest problem with rewards isn't necessarily that the high-end rewards are all that bad. They're super prestigious, they're cosmetic, and like that's fine. But the low-end stuff, there is a bit to be desired for. It's like a few number changes to content to easy and medium. Hard is the first recolor you get, but it's a Dragon Hunter crossbow that, you know, people only really use in one place like Vorkath, and it's instant, so you aren't really showing it off that you got it compared to a Slayer Helm. So maybe we need like a cosmetic achievement, a cosmetic thing you're actually going to wear a bit more for like, maybe not easy, but like medium and hard a bit more than what we've got for like the Slayer Helms. That might be good. The whole, if we were to do like a point system in design, it would be more so like you need to complete 30% of the master tier to get the master lamp, and then 60% would get you like the second batch, the Gommel's Hill, and then the 100% would get you like the helm and stuff, right? We could do it like that. It would be a huge amount of work for us to do right now, and that's not lazy devs. That's like we're just prioritizing feedback, and I think that it's a bit too soon to say day one after release to like rewrite the entire reward system. This seems very much like we're going to look at it as it goes on, we're going to see what the completion rates are looking like, and we're going to keep seeing the community feedback. Maybe there's a few other suggestions that could come up that are equally as good, right? And then we can look to potentially rework it in the future if the demand for it is still there.
Awesome.
Does that make
Thank
sense?
you. Yes, it does. I hope so. I'm sure the players it makes sense to as well. So, the next question is from Enlightened Editor. Will the team buff the rewards from the combat achievement diary? Players have suggested a lot of different ideas, but does the team have any initial thoughts?
I think it's
I wouldn't-
pretty
no
much
plans
what
to-
Husky. Oh.
There you go.
I think it's pretty much what Husky was saying, right? With we have to review the feedback, take our time, not jump on anything immediately. But it's something we're keeping an eye out on. Personally, I think I'd rather be in favor of, if we're doing, something along the lines of the league's task system, right, where you get rewarded a little bit each time you do a task, then I'd rather introduce additional rewards, right, that you can get, but you still have the old tier system. So you need to do that for the existing rewards, but then we could introduce something new, potentially.
Anyone like to add anything further? Or...
We've had following rewards to like the achievement diary system before. Whenever content comes out, it seems appropriate. And like recently we've got the all Amethyst mine. Everyone was like, "Oh, add that to the Falador diary," and we're like, "Oh, that's a pretty good idea." I don't see why we do that stuff. And, I think the thing that's like the big thing with like adding more rewards or reworking rewards is you can have thing that's like that could be nice add to it, but like, is that the reason people are chasing for it? Maybe it doesn't need that. I think that if there's something that is like so mandatory from these combat achievements, it defeats the purpose, but you still want people to feel rewarded. So it's that really weird balance between trying to get it right in that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think
Cool.
the people going for Grandmaster aren't necessarily going to get the rewards. It's more just to show off, like, look, I've pretty much beat everything in Grandmaster, so I'm really good at the game. Because the rewards themselves, like, they're good, but they might not be worth it for most people, so...
Cool. Thank you, guys. The next question, which is already on the screen, I can see, which is great. So, Assassin Aragorn, why not have one of the easy diary rewards be enhanced drop rates of I've never pronounced this boss's name before. The Moss Giant boss, there you go, and Obor keys. That seems like a meaningful reward for Matic, since the easy diaries includes those two bosses, and it's also really helpful for getting the Moss Giant boss his star for master clues.
It's a really good idea.
I'm sure we'll be open to adding more rewards. We'll probably poll them just so people are sure they're happy with them. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind this sort of thing. It's a good example of things that we could add that are thematic. It comes back to what I just said about, is it a huge carrot on a stick to make you go for it? Will it change the community's opinion? Like, oh my god, the rewards are now suddenly great? Probably not, but it's still a reasonably fitting reward that'll help with the completion of following, especially if it's on the easy tier, right? Like, it might help you with some of the medium tasks and stuff.
Awesome, thank you. So this next question is from the first of two turtle names, and it just makes me very sad, this name. So the Naked Turtle asks, can you remove the Zeah favour tab and move the Minigame Tele there instead?
We discussed this earlier in the meeting.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the consensus was, but I do agree that once you've completed your Zeah favor, there's really no reason to keep having, to keep viewing that tab, because you know that it's done and it can't be undone. So maybe it doesn't need to be there.
Yeah, I think this is going to be another one of those points where, it is only day one, so, perception might change a bit. So we will keep an eye on it, and if it is something that, the community is screaming out for, we will talk about it again and see what we can do. Cool. The next question is from Mr. G. How will combat achievements be updated in the future? As new content comes out, will it be like the Quest Cape, where you have to complete all new challenges before being able to re-equip cosmetics?
Yep, and not just the cosmetics, the drop rate modifier stuff, and will be disabled as well until you complete the new achievements.
Yeah, there will be. Yeah, so we've already discussed this. I think fairly early on. I think it was discussed that whenever something new is added in terms of bosses or whatever, we are going to look to update that list. So yes. The second turtle username, Scared Turtles, again another one that makes me quite sad. Love the tasks. What are your thoughts on giving a small amount of XP for each task completed, rather than a bigger lamp when you complete all in a tier? This could motivate people to go for tasks in the tier, even if they can't complete the entire tier.
I'm not a huge fan of this, because if we were to do this, I feel like the amount of XP you'd get is really minimal without it being OP. And also, how would you give out this XP? Because right now you can use it on a lamp, and for example, you don't like runecrafting, you get this lamp, you put it on runecrafting. How would you then get the lamp or whatever whenever you do a task to use that XP? Would it be you get an item? Would you have to talk to Gommel? So yeah, just for that reason I don't like it, and also I'd rather just have one big XP lamp at the end rather than 400 tiny XP lamps which you have to go through.
Yeah, if we were to do something like this, I'd probably say to only do it for the Grandmaster, maybe, because those are really, really challenging, and even completing one of them might be a really big achievement. So
it could be like the kudos system, right? It's a good way of saying a bunch of stuff that will eventually lead to lamps and stuff, where you could say every 10 tasks you reclaim a 1k XP or 5k XP lamp or something from Gommel. I'm not sure XP is the right reward, but it's kind of what I said about the reward system before. It lacks that reason to... It's very all or nothing, and that has pros, as you say, for making it feel super prestigious, and a huge oh my god, I did it and I get all this stuff, right? And there are benefits the community's pointed out to it being partial completion or like give the rewards. I think there might be things to consider on that front once, like, you know, the content is settled and that sort of thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. Again, touching back on the point, it's still day one. So, you know, there'll still be a lot more feedback coming from you guys, I'm sure, and we will keep our ears to the ground to make sure you are heard. The next question is from King Andy Rue. In the initial blog, there was no mention of raiding experience needed for elite combat tasks. However, now there seems to be quite a few in the tier. Was this an oversight or an intentional change?
This is kind of a fundamental problem with like needing to design things ahead of time for a poll, but like not get through the implementation and stuff. And it's the sort of thing that's always really awkward when it comes up, because it's like, okay, you promise this XP rate and it's slightly more, it's slightly less. And it's like, well, yeah, well now we've implemented it, right? So now we can engage things. When we came to doing all the task design, and you basically just come up with a bunch of tasks, and you're like, okay, now let's go and order them. Be like, these look easy, these look medium, these look hard, and you suddenly realize that there's this huge gap between like people who don't PVM and are trying to get into it, people who PVM a little bit, people who are pretty good, and people who go beyond, right? And I think that when you look at this diary in comparison to like a normal achievement diary, has like 4 tiers. That is just not enough to capture PVM. But what I would say is that the elite tier is probably a reasonable goal for most people to slowly work their way up to. And then master and grandmaster are for the people above that to push themselves, because there really is like there's no real way to like gauge how good you are at PVM and all these challenges. Like people just do it for fun or like optimize things for fun. And that's kind of what combat achievement sets out to do. Because I think a lot of people look at it and go, oh wow, that thing in master, that sounds impossible, I'll never do it. But like, is that person only looking at what they can do now? In fact, maybe they should say, okay, I can do everything up to medium, maybe into hard. Now, by the time they work their way through some of the hard tasks, they've learned a few skills along the way, they've got a bit better, they got the hard down. Now when they look at some of the elite tasks, like, oh, well, actually, I managed that for this hard task. Maybe I've learned a skill that helps me with that, and now they work their way up to there, and that will keep going to master, and eventually on to grandmaster, because I think the truth is that there's no real way to like show people how to get good at the game, and a lot of these tasks were purposely designed with mechanics to make people think and to learn and to get better, and that's the thing that excites me the most, is that like you kind of get all these people who say, I've got these melee stats, where do I start? And people go, oh, well, maybe King Black Dragon, or maybe Mole, or maybe Sarachnis, but, you know, we're not too sure where Sarachnis sits. It was kind of new at the time, but, you know, you recommend that and stuff. But this actually gives a list of things to work towards to go, oh, you know, I'm not sure where to start, but I'll start with the easy stuff. And maybe they work through. And remember that, like, easy, they're not all the same difficulty. They're like a spectrum of difficulty. You know, people go, why is Fire Giant on there in KBD? But you might start with Fire Giant, work your way up to KBD, and then, oh, now you've into the medium tier, right? It's not a huge jump because you worked your way up. That's kind of the whole. That was kind of the plan when we were doing all this, and to ask like why raiding experience needed for elite. That's just where it settled when we did all this balance. And we're like, okay, well, do we want to put Chambers of Xeric stuff like only in master? And you look at how much elite is, and it's like that would suddenly make a super bloated master tier, right? It just looking at the distribution, it's like a slightly slanted bell curve already, and it would be a bit more. I know that's like no, we don't care about bell curves, but that's probably about the right distribution for these tasks. Looking at this, I kind of still feel that hard should be seen as a pretty good achievement. And remember that a bunch of these are not specified to be solo, right? There are tasks to be like, kill General Grardor with this. And unless it stays in a privately rented instance, it can be done as a team. Maybe only the person with kill credit gets it, but then you guys can rotate around and help other people get it, right? So even some of the elite tasks do that. So, you know, there's a bunch of things in there for like Trio, Chambers of Xeric that, like, you know, you can help each other work towards. So, yeah. I hope that kind of is a bit of a longer rant and more than the player asked for an answer, but that hopefully kind of explains the update. Don't look at what you can do now comfortably, but try and figure out where you are on this scale. Maybe just start working and try and improve. It's very much hopefully teaching you how to PVM, you know, and get better at it.
Yeah. I'd say another way you could look at it is, for example, the area diaries, like the, let's say, Fremnik diary. To do like the easy, the mediums, the hard, like it's not that hard. You have to get like maybe like 70. Well, no, for the elite, let's say you have to get 70 rune crafting and like another high stat. Some diaries require 90 level 90 stats for the elites. If you look at the combat achievements diary, if PVM were a skill and, for example, doing the Inferno's 99, how do you go beyond that? Well, you go master and then you go grandmaster. Like if you were at level 120 PVMer, like you'd be able to do like the absolute top end stuff. So I guess that's how I look at it. Obviously, there's very few people who are going to be level 120 PVM if that was a real skill, so I don't expect very many people to do that. But if high 90s or elite, I'd definitely say that raid should be in the high 90s. If that makes sense. I know it's a weird way to look at it.
Cool.
Anyway,
Cool. Thank you.
I will need to jump now, unfortunately. There's a few other combat achievement answers, which are like, what percentage expected to complete Grandmaster? We don't know. I mean, that's up to the players to kind of figure out. We'll look at the data for sure. Will you release the numbers of people who've completed it in 6 months? Sure, we can try and request that. It's not, we can't access it ourselves, but ADS can. Can clan announcements be broadcast to guests and all the CA one, but you know, I think we know about that and we'd like to do. And I kind of just covered what our goals are or have in mind with this release thing. One thing I did just want to touch on a little bit is that, like, I know there's a lot of people in the chat going on about Jewel Arena and oh my god, and there's a lot of actual toxicity going on in chat. And I know it's a Twitch chat and I know it's the internet, but you guys sometimes really make it difficult to want to come on these Q&As and give you guys dev insights. We can't talk about the Jewel Arena because we're not part of the leadership team. So please save those for the leadership stream, put the questions to those. But you're already maybe noticed that some of these weeks there are 2 or 3 devs coming on, and it's because people just don't want to come in and deal with this in the chat and have personal insults and have like people go on about things that are, you know, we can't answer and you guys should know. So please guys, just try and, I know it's the internet, I know people just say, oh, just deal with it, but like, it's not our job to be on Q&As. We do this quite often. People stay back extra in their spare time to do this just to engage and just to get the feedback with you guys and just to try and get this engagement with the community. So please just try and remember to have just that little bit of courtesy in the chat, because, you know, I don't think comments like about my weight are appropriate to you disliking combat achievements, right? That's a personal thing for me. So please guys, just try and keep it civil, okay? And hopefully with that said, like, I'm gonna go off and leave you guys to hopefully get this round on a positive note, some of the other stuff on here. Regardless,
we appreciate.
I hope you all enjoy combat achievements. Please don't give up if some of these are hard. Hopefully you'll try and learn, and by God am I going to still be reading feedback on this for months to come, and potentially even making adjustments like should this easy task be a medium task or this hard task be an elite task. We're never going to get it 100% right on release no matter how hard we try and how much we put effort into doing it, but like, we do listen to the community. So, you know.
Well, it's been a pleasure having you on, Mod Husky, regardless, so yes, thank you again for being on.
Well said, Husky.
Cool.
Take care.
Well said. Well
See ya.
said indeed. Yeah.
Later.
So I just want to echo Mod Husky's comments that, you know, and I think I can speak for everyone in the team. There's a right way to come about letting us know your feedback and things you dislike, and there are wrong ways, and toxicity and, you know, poking jabs at the way either Jmods look or anything personal like that should never come into it, because it's not acceptable. It's not on. Jmod on the team is still a person, and that's it. You know, everyone's affected by it on it in different ways, and Husky's right. It does make it sometimes difficult for some of the Jmods to come on and want to do these things, you know, how much toxicity there is in chat. So yeah, I think Husky, that was a very good message to leave on, like, very well said. So yeah, and again, I speak for the whole team when we support that completely. So, with that said, there is one more question on combat achievements, which we'll go on to, which is from Robo Gengar. Could the combat achievement filters applied be saved after closing the interface? It would save a small headache when working specifically on a certain boss/tier of achievement.
I would have to look at the... Yeah, I was going to say I would have to look at the implementation of it to be 100% sure, but it should be possible.
Yeah, I know the bosses tab remembers where you were scrolling to, But yeah, I just don't think we made that change for the filter, so we'll see. We'll keep that as feedback.
Awesome, thank you very much. And with that, I think the combat achievements specific questions, unless there are any in chat, which I get onto later, are done. So we will go into a couple of other topics now. First is from Aurorus. Can a bit of texture or gradients be added to the tiles in the Nightmares arena? The flat neon looking floor becomes great in to look at after a while, and it can be a little annoying to tell where boundaries for tiles lie. Now, I have a message from Mod Rai, so please bear with me. It's a bit lengthy, but I will do my best to reflect his words as well as he would want. So there's two different aspects to this question, so I'll cover the texture part first. So while on a technical level we can achieve something akin to the example given, it's not quite as simple as just applying a texture to a model. The Nightmares environment is essentially an incredibly complex jigsaw puzzle made of 67 individual models of different shapes and sizes, many of which are duplicated in the map and spread across 3 different levels. To texture an asset, we have to use a projection plane to project a texture onto a polygon. This isn't too tricky if it's simply a standalone square face that we're dealing with. When we start introducing long triangles and multiple polygons of different shapes and sizes that all have to connect seamlessly, especially across different models, it becomes incredibly difficult to ensure the textile density, which is the number of texture pixels there are over a given area on the model, and texture alignment don't make the edges of each polygon or even simply just across the models super visible. On to the second point about telling where tile boundaries are. This is a problem with the core design of the Nightmares platform in general. Usually in the regular world, you can see the individual tiles because our terrain colors blend in using values across an 8 tile radius, meaning there's a distinct visual jumps because we don't have the granularity to have a smooth gradient, both because it's per tile and because of the limited color space we have available to us as a side effect from the engine side optimizations. Yay 2001 browser games. This isn't applied to the Nightmares platform because it isn't actually terrain, it's all flat geometry. We could just edit the models and that have a grey area, add a few faintly transparent dark polygons along the tile edges to mimic a tile effect on those areas only, but you'd still have the problem towards the middle where tile boundaries are a little bit vague. We could use a type of asset called ground decor or decor, which lays on top of the floor the players can walk on, think grass and stones, to overlay a generic square tile over the whole platform. But the end result of this would make the area quite visually noisy and a bit broken because of how the platform is raised detailing. It appears as if the tiles were just floating with this approach. So yes, there is that. Unpack that as you would. Mod Rai goes into a lot of detail there, but hopefully that answers your question. So yes. Moving on, the next question is for MPTRS. Could we poll the ability to corrupt crystal armour for a hefty amount of crystal shards? Players are generally not fond of RuneScape, and adding the ability to grind an excessive amount of charges for the option to redeem a chargeless version has been largely popular with other items.
I'd be down for that. Maybe we could even add crystals and have like all the power ranges in RuneScape. Because I know that's been suggested before as well. So yeah, as long as it's like expensive to the point where like you usually wouldn't spend that many charges fixing it, then yeah, I'd be fine with that.
I think the only way I'd agree with this is if it's like insanely expensive. I think that the Bow of Ferdinand is only balanced through the cost of using it, right? So because you can corrupt the bow and not use charges on the bow itself, it still gets a lot of its power from the armor that you use with it. And if the armor is free to use as well, that's suddenly a lot more powerful.
I saw someone say Power Ranger Escape, which I think is the new coin term, so I like it a lot. So the next question is from Such a Wreck Free. Thoughts on changing Amethyst dart tips to untradable and increasing them to 15 per Amethyst as originally intended, or at least polling this?
I'm personally not a fan because it feels just like an Iron Man change, and also we kind of helped balance Amethyst based on not having it be 15, so that it's like at least not so much better than Rune, because it's already better than Rune stat-wise, But rune's obviously going to be a lot more expensive because it's like hard to get compared to Amethyst. We can just mine and sit there. So it's a no from me personally, but I'll be willing to see what other people think.
I think the tradable aspect was to match the arrowheads, which already existed and are tradable. Regarding the 15 per Amethyst, not really sure how I feel about it. I feel like there was a reason we came up with the number that it's currently at, so maybe it was to not crash Rune too much. Don't know.
Yeah, it was to make it less dead content than it is
Oh yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Because now it's just so easy to just get Amethyst compared to Rune, especially the 9-man.
Right.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. The next question is from Hidden Ghost 1234. Any way we can get a customizable long tap delay on mobile? I can touch on this a little bit. I think with the upcoming, Steam changes we've announced, and we've just had drop 1, drop 2, shouldn't be too far away. This is something that I imagine the team will want to look into. After the initial lot. Can't say whether it will or won't be in the next lot of drops, but it's definitely something I know some of the team are aware of. So, yes. Cool. The next question is from Tackles64. Could the Beekeeper outfit always give? Could the Beekeeper always give the Beekeeper outfit first, then flax or coins after? Currently, it rewards flax most of the time. This would align it with all other random events.
I wouldn't mind. I think we decided to make it a little bit more rare for some reason. But yeah, that'd be cool just giving it out straight up.
I'm 1 piece off, and I've had 5 flax in a row. That being said, though, the satisfaction when I get that final piece, it's gonna be great. Can't wait.
It's gonna be so good.
Yeah, I'd leave this one to the players, honestly. If people feel like that's the way to go, then it's easily done. But at the same time, we don't want to devalue people's grinds, I guess. Like, people who already had a bunch of flags trying to go for the Beekeeper outfit. How do you guys feel about it, Do you feel like other people should go through the same pain as you did, or... Yeah, I'd leave it to the players.
Yeah, leave it to the players. Respect that. Cool. The next question is from Zanio600. Once you use the Observatory grapple shortcut for the first time, the rope stays forever, so you don't need to bring a crossbow and grapple in the future. This is brackets quality of life. Can this be done with all other grapple shortcuts in-game, since they are dead content as of right now?
I disagree that with dead content, especially if you got like a fletching or a max cape, because you can just search it and you'll get like a crossbow and mythical grapple. I wouldn't mind. I can't really see it being that strong. It's just really just the shortcut. But yeah, fine by me, I guess.
I was thinking that the only one where it really affects you might be God Wars Dungeon, getting to Armadale's Eyrie. But I'm also, this is just random thought right now, but what if a permanent rope there was like a reward from a combat achievement tier, right? We talked about different rewards earlier. We could add that onto it.
Yeah, I knew exactly where again. Yeah, I'd also be fine with that. But at that point, it might be inconsistent if we do decide to allow people to just keep them permanently without any other requirements, aside from this one at God Wars, which kind of makes sense because God Wars is specifically a boss area. But yeah,
you need to be really skilled. It's so icy; it's difficult to get the rope to stick. We'll figure out a way.
Only Grandmaster tier full completion reward. I think that's the way it goes. The next question we have from Daklos Diouf. I think I've pronounced that right. Some agility shortcuts already give some token agility XP when used, but many do not. Can you make every shortcut give a tiny amount of XP?
I wouldn't mind that, especially when I think the Falador shortcut into the west is I think it might be half an XP. So yeah, even if it was just like a tiny bit of token XP to like give you a little bit of serotonin, that's cool by me. As long as it's not like we give you 10 XP and then someone's just going to auto click it and get a 99 agility, which obviously we won't be happy about that. But yeah.
I agree.
Awesome. Thank you. We're going to go on to a couple of chat questions before we go on to the player showcase, and then wrap up with the re-announcements. But we've already talked about that first question, Mod Druid. So we'll go into question 2. Longy J, can you guys look into the punching Vork Diary? People are using a tomb offhand with no main hand and manual casting Fire Surge for the kill. Yes,
I'll look at
seems
that, yeah.
like it shouldn't be possible to complete it like that. So yes, we should do that.
Yeah, definitely something we will look into. After this, we'll pass it on. So the next question is from Sir Dude. Can we see individual announcements for combat achievements and not just tier completions, and let the clan leaders choose which tiers are announced?
We may be able to do that. I know the broadcasts themselves were like a very late thing to go in. It was pretty much the last thing we added because it was already like this week. Because we just thought, hey, it'd be really cool if people would just like see, hey, look, this person completely easy, medium, elite, whatever. We did think it would be a bit too spammy, especially on release, because everyone could just go around and complete like 50 like things themselves, just off of, like easy diary. So yeah, we'll see.
Cool. The next question is from EXC0. Is it possible that some of them get removed? I'm guessing they're talking about the tasks in favor of more unique challenges, like the kill count ones, for example. I think for this, again, it's day one, so I think go into it, and we will be collecting the feedback going forward. But it is day one, so I don't think we'll be making any massive changes to the system as it is. Tweaks here and there, like we've mentioned earlier in the stream, but yeah, nothing I think that drastic straight away.
Yeah, I've seen a few people ask in the chat. Go ahead.
Sorry. No, you go.
Fine. I've seen a few people ask in the chat if we could add like, can someone add like an elite task if I kill like 200 temporoses or whatever. We don't plan on adding tasks, especially like a task that doesn't really fit. For example, I wouldn't expect Temporos to have like an elite or even a master task, because that really isn't just like, it just isn't hard enough. So yeah, as for adding tasks, I don't think we'll do that. And I'm not sure if we'll remove them either. We may just change them. But yeah, on to what you're saying, Elena.
Yeah. I think I was just saying that the KC tasks are there to basically ensure that you've at least had some experience with each boss,
Yeah.
Can't be a true master of combat if you haven't really fought every boss. Or maybe you can, but by design you can't.
Awesome. So the next question is from Nacho Bravo 123. Some of the combat achievements are not clear in terms of what we can use or not. Is there a way to include a section in terms of what is allowed or not to complete it? I imagine for some of these tasks that would be quite a hefty list. So fitting that onto one of the panels we currently have, I don't think would be possible. Maybe I'm wrong, but
we can always expand the descriptions a bit, but there's only so long they can be. If we get specifics, maybe we can look into just changing the descriptions more to be even clearer on what's allowed and not.
Yeah, I think that might just be opening a kind of worm, especially for the amount of hassle we have. But for what it's worth, I don't know if everyone knows about this, but if you go to the settings, you can enable failure notifications, and it will tell you exactly what you did, which made you fail a task. So if you go to the Inferno and you equip the Kodai Wand, then you'll be told you failed the facing Jad head-on task because you equipped the Kodai Wand, for example, because you can only use melee for that task.
chat is also pointing out that the wiki is a really useful tool that you can just look up the task you're doing, and I guarantee you there's more information on there.
Yeah, the wiki is a wonderful place. Wonderful place. We'll do a couple more questions before we go on to the player showcase, and then we'll wrap up with the re-announcements, because I'm sure some people missed the date of the summer reveal earlier on. But Kravost asked, no, they already asked that. That's fine. So Anti-Vaxxer RS asks, could we potentially get a mutagen, twisted kit, sanguine kit, and a holy kit insurance, and any other untradable PVM item that takes a long time to get? Some of these items take more EHB to obtain than some pets, but if they are lost, you get hacked or die in the wildy with them, you must go through a rough grind to obtain them again.
I was actually thinking about this for an ideation project a while back, and I'd really love to do this because I know that those grinds, especially the mutagen one, can take a really, really long time. That said, I don't know where to draw the line. Do we do it for any untradable item above like a certain drop rate, or do we just have like a small, very specific list of items? I don't know which items to include, if we want it to be a really small list or a big one. So if you want to tag me on Twitter, at me, tell me which items. I'm happy to give it more thought, at least. I can't guarantee that this is something we can launch anytime soon, because that's a whole different topic on when we can schedule things in, but it's definitely been on my mind to do that.
Yeah, maybe I'd draw the line at like untradable things and go case by case basis. So it's really just like the hard to get things, like people have mentioned, the mutagens, the kits from Theatre of Blood, that sort of stuff. So I don't imagine we'd make it so people can keep like their fighter torsos and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's the sort of thing I was thinking of, like Void as well. Do we include that or not?
Yeah, I'll keep it mostly like those like hard to get things. Mostly that come from bosses.
Awesome. Guys, I'm tweaking this last question a bit before we go on to the player showcase and that. So, what in the Jmods' opinions are the hardest tasks for their personal accounts in combat achievements? What are you guys going to find most difficult, you reckon?
That's a difficult one. For me personally, it's either perfect theater, because it requires you to have a really good team who don't mess up on either of the, either boss really in the Theatre of Blood, or the Inferno speed tasks, because I've just not really done any speedy Inferno. I've done a few, but not speedy ones. So yeah, one of those.
For me, I'm not really like planning to go for Grandmaster, so I think it would take way too long for me to want to do that. I did one of the 6 Jad challenge tasks yesterday, which was the supplies one for triple Jads, where you have to use absolutely nothing aside from what you have on you, like equipped. And that was really fun. Took me a couple tries. It was a lot harder to test than it was for me to do in live for some reason. I guess I was already like ready for it, but yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. I think with that said, I won't give mine because I don't want to embarrass myself as a as a player.
The one we have to get one hill giant kill.
Oh god, it's gonna be so tough. It's gonna be so tough. The Moss Giant boss, man. That's the one. That's the one.
I believe in you.
Thank you, guys. So we are going to go on to the player creation showcase to wrap things up before we do the announcements. So the first one is a picture that was created for my buddy who just got married. So congratulations, friend of Fangi. 16 years of exploring Gielinor. It's really cool, actually. You can see there's a wedding ring on the player in the middle when you zoomed in.
Congratulations.
It's used with a really like rough brush. So if you zoom in, you can see it but it's really well done. I dig this piece a lot. The next piece of artwork is the Death of Argento, the Silver Spirit Tree. Loving the art style on this. Very, very old school art style. This is by Rip Knee. The next one is my girlfriend who has never played asked me what to paint. Naturally, I told her the money snake. This is by Electronic Fish 5538. Very cool. I always love it when players, friends or partners, they've never played the game and they draw something for the first time. They normally look so good.
Yeah, this is really well done.
Mm-hmm.
The next one is that new Scots. I can't pronounce this name. Scotizo? Slayer Helm?
Yeah.
Scotizo?
Gatizo.
That's the one. That's the one. The other mods have got me covered. You can tell English was never my strongest subject. This is by Pixely. Very, very cool. Very, very cool.
I mean, I'm foreign, but I think Scotizo is not a normal English word anyway, so I think you're fine.
I mean, I'm sure English is made up a bunch of languages, like just borrowing from loads of different ones, so I don't think I have any excuse. But thank you, Elena. I appreciate it. And the final one is Taste Vengeance by Craft478. That skull is so good. It's so good.
That's amazing.
I like that he's ready to AGS spec as well. He's getting the
Yeah, I
combo
was gonna
up.
say, I hope there's like a second one that he makes with like a 73 hit splat on, you know, like the aftermath of that AGS spec.
Yeah, so Craft, if you're watching, please, you know what's next on your make list. But with that out of the way, we're going to go back over the announcements and close off today's stream. So, combat achievements are here. This new achievement system will measure just how tough you really are. Plus, we've got gauntlet changes and more. So use !game update to find out more. And again, we'd like to thank you for your patience while we've addressed any issues related to the content. If anyone missed it at the start of the stream, there was a little part where I discuss bugs and QA. So when the VOD goes up, please watch that if you already missed it. Our next mini poll is now live. Have your say on the Amethyst mining spots, Ash Sanctifier and Sour Hogs by visiting your nearest in-game poll booth or vote through the account's settings menu. You can find out what's in that mini poll by using !mini poll. And finally, the big reveal, we will be live on Saturday, July 31st with Old School's Summer Summit. So please mark it in your calendars. It's going to be very, very good. A lot of people asking in the chat about Group Iron Man and other bits of content. It might feature in there. We're going to talk about the next 6 months of content. So, you know, you'll have to, you know, it's just over a week away. So you haven't got that long to wait before we throw a lot of secrets that we've been keeping at you. So, you know, I'm very, very excited. So yeah, 8 p.m. BST. So use your, you know, clock changes and whatever you need to get that marked in your calendar at the right time. Saturday, July 31st on Twitch. So yes. With that done, thank you very much, Mod Bruno and Elena and Husky for joining me, and Mod Light and Druid behind the scenes. Is there anything you guys would like to say closing off?
Enjoy combat achievements.
Yeah.
And yeah, thanks for having us. Thank you for hosting,
If you find
Sarnie.
any issues, let us know by either tweeting at JagXBruno or at JagXHusky or at JagXElena or at JagXSarnie. We can all get a shout out. Or just submit a bug report by right-clicking the report button on the game.
Yes, please do. Any more bugs or issues you see, please report them however you can. We will, again, be keeping our ears low to the ground, making sure we're taking all your feedback and comments on board. So without further ado, thank you very much for joining us. We should have a normal Q&A next week along with the summer stream, so I will get a thread out soon so you can start asking your questions there. But with that said, thank you very much for watching and have a good rest of your week.
Have a good one.